Yesterday night, I'm always very interested to find out the opinions that people have on things. That's why I like to watch people reacting to things that I'm interested on to get a feeling of what's the world's opinion on stuff. And definitely the amount of YouTube videos there are about that in a specific, it's growing lately. There are for music videos, for movies, for programs, for books. And yesterday I wanted to see if there were reviews or reactions or opinions in general about Padre Rico, Padre Pobre, which is the Spanish name for Robert Kiyosaki's classic Rich Dad and Poor Dad. I wanted to know if there were in Spanish because I'm having this thought lately that, well, kind of my thought is that somehow the intellectual discussion exclusively in Spanish is on the internet in general is lacking a lot. And why is that important? Because the native Spanish speakers were somewhere around like a billion plus. I guess it's just one of those things that I already knew very well. But lately I've been try to prove myself wrong, because I guess that's one of the conclusions that I got when I was way younger, that basically if you sing Spanish, it's trash, because it was just something that I felt when I consume any kind of knowledge, let's say in Spanish. And I think that's accurate, because every single time I try to find anything about any topic in Spanish, there is always going to always going to look for people who are trying to push their own views, because I think the most important marker for a worth listening intellectual opinion on anything is the fact that the person who is giving that opinion is someone who is most interested on finding the truth instead of trying to prove themselves right. And that's, I will think, the basis of science and academic discussion, knowing that all parties are wrong in some way and they all have to be right in some way. And the drive and the need to get to the conclusion in the middle of the actual truth, that is the combination of both opinions, because they are generated from two different or multiple different points of appreciation of one phenomena. And so I feel that this is due to the fact that, well, thanks to the internet, we all have this interconnection, global interconnection, where we can actually share all of our ideas. And English is the language of the internet, is the lengua franca, is what everyone talks. And even I, right? Like, I'm making videos in English, not just because I think there is a bigger pool of viewers in English, but because I think everyone that's really interested into something is going to end up listening to things in English, because it's like the stronger wins and wins it all, basically. So the thing is that I think and I feel like every single person who is actually interested on getting into any kind of intellectual discussion is going to be someone who in general in life is interested in more than just surviving or living a superficial life. And one of the first things that you realize and you do when you're that kind of person, if you're not a native English speaker, is to learn English. And I don't know about other languages, other cultures, other areas of the world, but in Spanish, there is a slight bitterness from the people. I mean, it's very slightly, really. It's just on memes that they say, like, when people speak English on the bus, or they are like feeling like they worth better, or something like that. So there is definitely a pushback from people who don't speak English, and I think that creates the encouragement from someone who has certain age and who hasn't like learned it, and then all the concepts of being very difficult for certain people, which is crap. I mean, I was so bad at English. I mean, more than what I am right now. When I was in high school, that was my worst subject, and that in math. And now I'm an engineer, at least a student of an engineering. And so I definitely don't believe that that's an excuse for not being a part of the global conversation, because that's what all of this is. It's a global conversation that we all have to have. And if we are not having it, we are vulnerable to the lies of mainstream media and in general in society. So I'm talking about all of this because yesterday, when I wanted to see if there were any reviews about Rich Dad and Poor Dad, I got in Spanish. I got stoned by, shocked by, like, there were, and I knew this existed in Spanish because it exists in English a lot. Not a lot, but there is quite a community of executives and very negative people that always are in a certain crowd of things. But I had no idea how big it was in Spanish speaking content, because from 10 reviews that I found on YouTube from Rich Dad and Poor Dad in Spanish for the book, there was only one that was positive. All the other reviews were negative, and not just negative. They were intellectually advanced negative, let's say. They were reviews made to feel well done, well based, and intellectually provable and scientifically provable somehow. And we all have, I mean, not we all, but we already are very good, at least I think, in the whole world to identify this kind of intellectual scams. I feel that they are, and in different aspects of any kind of discussion on any community on YouTube. There are guys like Kofzilla, I think, and TechLead Millionaire as a Millionaire. I mean, you only have to watch like 10 of their videos to see how they are full of shit. But at the same time, they have knowledge, and they have the ability to talk very well, but they are not consistent with their bases. They are always failing to prove their rightness on their opinions, and they are this kind of crowd that markets to the nihilistic people. That's the word that I was looking for, I guess, nihilism. So I found at least 9 reviews of nihilistic in characteristics in Spanish for Rich Dad and Poor Dad. And it made me realize that there is certain aspect of that in the nature of the Native Americans, the Spanish speakers, the Latinoamericanos, because these the arguments that these people made about why Rich Dad and Poor Dad, well, the things that they said about the book in general terms were that it would only work for someone who lives in a rich country. And they always repeated one thing that I have no idea where it came from. They were always saying that the story was somehow a fantasy, that it was very obviously fake and made up. And I don't remember hearing Robert ever saying that the story of Rich Dad and Poor Dad was made up just for the sake of the book. But they all mention that fact, that aspect of the book, which lets me to think that they were making all these reviews copying each other, because that's how crappy YouTube videos and content are made, just copying each other what's popular, I guess. But they all always started with those remarks that the fact that it wasn't meant for Latinos, and also that it was like, yeah, I mean, these kind of people that really are against self-help. If there is even like some YouTube channels that are called autoayuda que no ayuda or something like that, which means self-help that doesn't help, something like that. And I'm not here trying to defend any aspect, because that there is a life of studying to realize these concepts, and I'm not trying here to lecture any of that. I did my own at its time, and I'm just trying to give information who the awakened, let's say, kind of crowd who might be interested on how in different languages is more how in different languages our core beliefs and actual factual basis in which we live are being attacked and dismissed. And in Spanish, that's the way that it goes. There is a very nihilistic group of people that have adopted this kind of set of beliefs due to the fact that it is very difficult to live in these countries. And so it's easy to become nihilistic. It's easy to go through life feeling like things really don't matter that much, and that there is not much substance on an essence on the daily actions and things that we do every single day. So, and I think that particularly in Spanish is very present, and that might be an indication that the smaller the crowd of native speakers of each language is going to be worse, and it makes sense that it would. And just by chance, I guess, right after that, I watched a short clip of someone who I really don't like that much, but I guess he has a lot of credit on his beliefs and thoughts and accomplishments intellectually, who's Ben Shapiro. He was on the Bill Maher show, I guess, and he was talking about critical race theory with this Black North American. I guess I realized one thing, that is basically the last step, I guess, on the realizations that the two main trains of thought in the US haven't made yet, or haven't like accepted yet. And is the fact that when I listened to Ben Shapiro describe critical race theory, and when then the other guy was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is, they didn't I guess I feel like both of them, especially Ben, didn't realize the fact that when the other guy was being totally agreeing on with him on what that was, and at the same time being, regardless of the fact that they were okay with that description, but at the same time they differ on if that was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. I think Ben and all that crowd of intellectual people haven't like truly embraced. Maybe Jordan Peterson has done it a little bit, but in general they haven't fully embraced the fact that what this kind of left wing ideologies, what they are promoting is straight up, how can I put it? It's not war. Well, it kind of like that's what they are like promoting, I guess, because they simply do not. I think that the thing is that people like Ben Shapiro, they have in their minds that they are going to act with everyone from their own country as if they're going to act and they are going to treat everyone else as if everyone else agrees with them on the fact that they should work together to create a better country. But the reality is that these people don't want that. What they want is straight up amendments for what happened before to their ancestors, and they have no interest on working together to keep what the US already has, which is like that's basically why it's falling really right now. The reality is that that's the attitude that leads to war, basically, because there is this group of people who absolutely do not want to cooperate with everyone for the best interest of everyone. They simply want the best for themselves, and that's what they want. That if they deserve that or not, that's another discussion, I guess. But they don't want to work on a team basis with the white crowd or the all the intellectual crowd, I guess. And that is very interesting to me because that is absolutely what happens here in Latin America. But here in Latin America, well, I think I can understand why is that, because in countries like this, before, years ago, what used to be the reality was the political crowd had so much power and so much absolute power that everyone else were absolutely dispossessed of absolutely everything, which is the exact argument that the black community is doing in the US. And my family, as most families in this country, were a part of it, were a part of the dispossessed part of the society. So I understand very well what is the thought process behind that. And the reality is that when a politician or someone with power comes along and says that they want to work together to have a better something, we are simply way too bitter to let that happen. We really want what is ours, and we want it now because we haven't had it for hundreds of years. And so it really feels bad emotionally, really, that they all want to just start again, like just like that. And that makes me realize that that's like predatory kind of behavior. More than predatory, like it's Darwinian kind of behavior. Darwinian because it's a behavior based on the fact that everyone should fight for their own and their community, their close community, and everyone else who differs from that, even though they might be from the same country or something, is an enemy. And that's what's going on. That's what's happening. That's what is happening. And I think the biggest, not flaw, but maybe, I guess, is like the intellectual crowd, I think, has failed on accept that fact, on accept that and on fully embrace it. But at the same time, I think that it could not be fully embraced due to the fact that it's just a certain amount of idealistic lefties who are doing this. But they are contaminating pop culture's beliefs on things. They are doing it, so it's growing. And the mainstream media is definitely helping them. Why is that, though? I guess because the mainstream media is weak. More than there being a conspiracy something going on, I think it's just because it's weak. And it just goes where there is going to be more attention on things. And they really don't think too much on long term. And they haven't read history, what happened in France in 1970, 72. So that's basically what's going on. And so I guess the conclusion is that purely Spanish speaking intellectual content is insanely flawed, is very flawed, is very idealistic, is very contaminated with a bunch of pushing ideas, and is not open for real discussion and search for the actual truth. And I don't blame them. I don't blame it because I get it. I totally get it. At the same time, I guess I'm just pronosticating, or like Nostradamus telling that those people who are a part of that discussion in that way, I mean, they are doomed. And yeah, only time is going to tell where they're going to end up, because it's very dangerous the way that they approach ideas and the way that they critique things in a such a dishonest way, I guess. Yeah. So those are my thoughts from today.